Mother. That's what she called me now. Not mom. Not even my name, Rachel. Just mother. Cold. Formal. Like I was a stranger she was forced to acknowledge at family gatherings. I stood in my small kitchen, phone pressed against my ear, listening to my daughter-in-law Lauren's voice drip with false sweetness. Mother, we need you to come over tomorrow. There are some papers that need your signature. Estate planning stuff. You know, to protect everyone. I felt my chest tighten. Estate planning? I was 72, yes. But I wasn't dying. I wasn't confused. And I certainly hadn't asked for any estate planning. What kind of papers? I asked quietly. Oh, nothing complicated. Her laugh was light, dismissive. Just standard beneficiary forms. Power of attorney. Medical directives. Things every elderly person should have in order. Elderly person. As if I were already gone. Lauren, I think I should have my own lawyer look at. Mother. Her voice sharpened. We've already paid the lawyer. This is a gift from Marcus and me to make things easier for you. Unless you don't trust your own son. And there it was, the trap. Question my son's intentions, and I'm the villain. The bitter old woman who can't accept that her baby boy grew up. I closed my eyes. I'll be there, I whispered. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat down at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd fed Marcus breakfast before school every single morning, the same table where I'd helped him with homework, listened to his dreams, celebrated his scholarships, the same table where I cried alone after his father walked out, leaving me with a 6-year-old and $60 in the bank. I looked down at my hands, 72 years old, wrinkled, spotted, tired, but not weak and not stupid. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found a name I hadn't called in 15 years. Daniel Roth, attorney, old friend. My finger hovered over the call button. Then I heard Lauren's voice again in my head. Unless you don't trust your own son? I pressed call. He answered on the second ring. Rachel Morrison? My God, it's been forever. Daniel, I said quietly, I need a favor, and I need you not to ask too many questions. There was a pause. What's going on? Tomorrow I'm signing papers. I don't know what they say, but I have a feeling. I have a very bad feeling. Another pause. Longer this time. Don't sign anything, he said firmly. Not until I see it. I have to. If I don't, they'll know I suspect something. Rachel, please. My voice cracked. Just be there. Quietly. I'll text you the address. Come as a notary or something. Just be there. He exhaled slowly. Okay, I'll be there. I hung up and sat in the silence of my little kitchen. The house felt too big suddenly, too empty. Marcus used to fill it with laughter, with music, with life. Now, he barely visited unless Lauren made him. I stood and walked to the mantel, where a single photograph sat in a silver frame. Marcus at 10 years old, grinning with a missing front tooth, holding up a trophy from his first spelling bee. I'd worked 3 jobs that year to keep us afloat. He never knew. I made sure of it. I traced the outline of his face with my finger. What happened to you, baby? I whispered, but I had no idea what I was about to discover the next day. People always ask me if I ever regretted keeping him. The answer is no. Never once. Not when his father left us with nothing but a note that said, I can't do this. Not when I worked the overnight shift at the hospital, the breakfast shift at the diner, and weekends cleaning houses just to keep the lights on. Not when Marcus was sick with pneumonia and I sat up for 3 nights straight because we couldn't afford the doctor until my next paycheck. Never. He was my miracle, my second chance, my reason to keep going. I was 43 when I had him. The doctors said it was risky. My ex-husband said it was a mistake. But the moment they put that tiny squirming baby in my arms, I knew he was meant to be mine. I named him Marcus after my father, a man who taught me that dignity wasn't about how much money you had. It was about how you carried yourself when you had none. Marcus was a bright boy, curious, kind. When he was 7, he saved his allowance for 3 months to buy me a bracelet from the drugstore. It turned my wrist green, but I wore it every day until the class broke. When he was 12, he wrote me a Mother's Day card that said, "You are the strongest person I know. When I grow up, I want to take care of you the way you take care of me." I still have that card. It's in a box under my bed, next to the hospital bracelet from the day he was born, and the program from his college graduation. He got a full ride to a good school. Business degree. Honors. I was so proud. I sat in the audience in a dress I bought from a thrift store and altered myself, and I cried when they called his name. He walked across that stage and I thought, I did it. I got him here. After the ceremony, he found me in the crowd, picked me up, and spun me around. "We did it, Mom," he shouted. "We did it. We." That's what he said. We. I remember that moment so clearly because it was the last time he ever said it. The change didn't happen overnight. It was slow, quiet. He got his first job at a marketing firm. Good salary, nice office. He moved into an apartment downtown, stopped coming home as often. Then he met Lauren. She was beautiful, polished, confident. She had the kind of life Marcus always dreamed about. Big house, fancy car, parents with money. And I could see it in his eyes. He wanted that life. life, and I was a reminder of the life he was trying to leave behind. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, but then came the comments. Mom, maybe don't mention that you cleaned houses, okay? Lauren's parents are kind of traditional. Mom, do you have something a little more formal to wear to the rehearsal dinner? Mom, I know you like to talk, but maybe just let Lauren's family lead the conversation. Each one felt like a small cut, but I smiled. I nodded. I stayed quiet because that's what mothers do. We shrink ourselves so our children can grow. The wedding was beautiful. I wore a navy dress I'd saved for months to buy. I sat in the third row behind Lauren's family, behind Marcus's college friends, behind people I'd never met. When the photographer asked for family photos, Lauren's mother stepped forward first. I waited and waited. Okay, that's all we need, the photographer finally said. Marcus glanced at me, then away. Mom, we'll do some later, he mumbled. We never did. I stood in the back of the reception hall, watching my son dance with his new wife, and I felt something crack inside me. But I didn't cry. Not then. I went home, took off that navy dress, and hung it in the back of my closet, and I told myself things would get better. I told myself he'd come back to me, but I was wrong. The first time I realized I was invisible to them was at Marcus and Lauren's housewarming party. They bought a beautiful home in a gated community. 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, a chandelier in the entryway that cost more than my first car. I was proud of him. I really was. I showed up with a homemade casserole, Marcus's favorite, the one I used to make every Sunday when he was little. Lauren opened the door wearing a white silk blouse and heels. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Oh, Mother, you're early. I glanced at my watch. I was 5 minutes late, actually. I brought Marcus's favorite, I said, holding up the dish. She looked at it like I'd handed her a dead fish. How thoughtful. She took it with 2 fingers. I'll just put this in the kitchen. We have a caterer, so we probably won't need it, but thank you. She turned and walked away, leaving me standing in the doorway. I stepped inside. The house was full of people I didn't know. Young couples in expensive clothes, holding wine glasses, laughing at jokes I couldn't hear. I searched for Marcus. I found him in the living room, surrounded by friends telling a story. And my mom, bless her heart, she thought I was going to take over the family business. He laughed. We didn't have a family business. She cleaned houses. Everyone laughed. My stomach twisted. He saw me then. His face flushed. Oh, hey mom. Hi baby, I said softly. An awkward silence fell. One of his friends cleared his throat. Well, we'll let you catch up. They scattered. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. You made it. Of course I did. He nodded. Looked around. Lauren's got everything under control, so just make yourself comfortable, okay? And then he walked away. I stood there, alone in a room full of people. I found a chair in the corner and sat down. For 2 hours, I watched my son laugh and talk and hug people who weren't me. When I finally got up to leave, no one noticed. Not even Marcus. I drove home in silence. The second time I felt invisible was worse. It was Thanksgiving. Lauren insisted on hosting. Mother, you've done enough cooking in your life, she said sweetly. Let us take care of you for once. I showed up with flowers. The table was set beautifully. 14 places. I looked for my name card. I found it at the far end, tucked between 2 teenagers I didn't know, Lauren's cousins. Marcus sat at the head of the table, Lauren to his right, her parents beside her. I was at the opposite end, barely in the conversation. When Lauren's father stood to give a toast, he thanked everyone by name. He didn't mention me. When dessert came, Lauren's mother asked Marcus about his job, his goals, his plans. She didn't ask me a single question. At one point, I tried to join in. Marcus was always so good with numbers, I said, even as a little boy. That's so sweet, Mother, Lauren interrupted. But I think Marcus's real talent is his vision. That's what makes him successful now. The table nodded in agreement. I swallowed my words and stared at my plate. After dinner, I helped clear the dishes. Lauren stopped me. Mother, you don't have to do that. Just relax. But I wasn't allowed to relax. I wasn't family. I was a guest. A tolerated guest. I left early claiming a headache. Marcus walked me to the door. You okay, Mom? I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake him and ask when I became a stranger, but I just smiled. I'm fine, baby. Just tired. He kissed my forehead. Drive safe. And then I was gone. The third time, I knew it wasn't an accident. I knew it was intentional. It was Marcus's birthday dinner. Lauren texted me the details. Saturday, 7 p.m., Gino's Steakhouse. I arrived at 6:50. The hostess looked confused. Morrison party? Let me check. She came back frowning. I'm sorry, ma'am. The reservation is for 6 people. It's already full. My heart dropped. There must be a mistake. I'm his mother. She checked again. Shook her head. I'm sorry. I called Marcus. No answer. I called again. Lauren picked up. Mother, is something wrong? I'm at the restaurant. They said the table is full. A pause. Oh, right. We had to keep it small. You understand. Small. 6 people. But not me. Lauren, it's his birthday. I know. And we'll celebrate with you another time. Promise. She hung up. I stood outside that restaurant for 10 minutes, staring through the window. I saw them laughing, toasting, happy. Without me, I drove home. I sat in my kitchen, and for the first time in 30 years, I let myself fall apart. But the next morning, I woke up different, because that night I'd remembered something I tucked away a long time ago, something they didn't know about, and I realized it was time to stop shrinking. Daniel Roth arrived exactly on time. I watched from the window as he parked his silver sedan across the street from Marcus and Lauren's house. He was older now, gray at the temples, lines around his eyes, but still sharp. Still the same man who'd helped me navigate my divorce 30 years ago for free because he knew I had nothing. He didn't get out of the car. Instead, he texted me, "I'm here, watching. If anything feels wrong, stall. Cough twice. I'll come in." I steadied my breathing and knocked on the door. Lauren answered immediately. Too immediately, like she'd been waiting. Mother, right on time. Her smile was wide, rehearsed. Come in, come in. I stepped inside. The house smelled like vanilla candles and expensive perfume. Marcus was sitting at the dining room table with a man I didn't recognize. Mid-50s, cheap suit, a leather folder in front of him. "Mom, this is Roger Hastings. He's the estate attorney we hired to help you." I looked at Marcus. His eyes didn't quite meet mine. "Help me with what exactly?" I asked. Roger stood and extended his hand. "Mrs. Morrison, it's a pleasure. Your son and daughter-in-law have been very thoughtful in arranging this. We just need a few signatures today, and you'll have complete peace of mind." Peace of mind. I shook his hand. His palm was damp. "Please sit," Lauren said, pulling out a chair for me. I sat. Roger opened the folder and slid a stack of papers toward me. "This is a standard estate planning package," he said smoothly. "Power of attorney, healthcare directive, and a beneficiary designation form. Very common for someone your age." Someone my age. I stared at the papers. The print was small, dense. "Can I read through this first?" I asked. "Of course," Roger said, "but I'll walk you through each section to save time." Save time. He flipped to the first page. "This is a durable power of attorney. It allows Marcus and Lauren to make financial decisions on your behalf if you become incapacitated." "What kind of decisions?" "Oh, paying bills, managing accounts, selling property if necessary. Just to protect your assets." "Selling property? I own my house outright. Paid off 15 years ago. And if I'm not incapacitated?" I asked. Roger smiled. "Then it doesn't activate. It's just a safety net." I nodded slowly. He flipped to the next page. "This is the healthcare directive. It names Marcus as your primary decision maker for medical care." "What about my own wishes?" "Of course, your wishes are paramount, but in case you're unable to communicate them, Marcus will step in." Unable to communicate. I glanced at Marcus. He was looking at his phone, not at me. "And this last one?" I asked. Roger's smile tightened just slightly. "This is a transfer on death deed. It ensures that your house goes directly to Marcus upon your passing. Avoids probate. Saves everyone a lot of hassle and expense. Transfer on death. Upon my passing. I was 72, healthy, active, and they were already planning my funeral. What if I want to leave the house to someone else?" I asked. The room went silent. Lauren laughed, a little too loud. "Mother, who else would you leave it to? Marcus is your only child." "I know, but what if I wanted to donate it or sell it myself?" Roger cleared his throat. "Well, technically, you could revoke this at any time. But again, it's just to simplify things." "Simplify? For who?" I looked down at the papers again. My hands were shaking. "Where do I sign?" "Right here." Roger pointed. "And here. And initial here." He handed me a pen. I held it over the first line, and then I coughed twice. Lauren looked up sharply. "Mother, are you alright?" "Just dry throat," I said. 30 seconds later, the doorbell rang. Marcus frowned. "Who's that?" Lauren stood. "I'll get it." She opened the door. Daniel Roth stood on the porch, briefcase in hand, looking every bit a professional. "Good morning," he said pleasantly. "I'm Daniel Roth, mobile notary. I was told you needed documents notarized today." Roger's face went pale. "We already have a notary," he stammered. "Do you?" Daniel looked surprised. "Because the client, Mrs. Morrison, requested I come as well, just to ensure everything is properly executed. You don't mind, do you?" He stepped inside before anyone could answer. His eyes found mine, and in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Safe. Daniel set his briefcase on the table and looked at the papers. His expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. "Mrs. Morrison," he said calmly, "have you had independent legal counsel review these documents?" "No," I said. "Then I cannot notarize them." Roger shot to his feet. "Excuse me. Standard practice," Daniel said, his voice even. "For any document involving power of attorney or property transfer, the signer must have independent representation. Otherwise, it's a conflict of interest." "That's not." "It is," Daniel said firmly. "And if you'd like, I can call the state bar right now to confirm." The room was frozen. frozen. Lauren looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at Roger. Roger looked at the door. Daniel turned to me. Mrs. Morrison, I'd advise you not to sign anything today. Let me review these first. If they're legitimate, we'll schedule another meeting. If they're not, he let the sentence hang. I stood. Thank you, Daniel. Marcus finally spoke. Mom, what the hell is this? I looked at my son, and for the first time in years, I didn't apologize. This, I said quietly, is me protecting myself. I walked out, and I didn't look back. Daniel didn't say a word until we were in his car. Then he turned to me, his face serious. Rachel, those papers were a trap. I'd known it, but hearing him say it out loud made it real. Tell me. He pulled out his phone and took pictures of the documents I'd refused to sign. The power of attorney had no expiration date. Once you signed, Marcus and Lauren would have had complete control of your finances. Immediately. Not just if you were incapacitated. Immediately. My stomach dropped. And the house. The transfer on death deed wasn't just about avoiding probate. It was structured so that Marcus could claim ownership the moment you signed. There's a clause, buried in the legal jargon, that classified you as mentally preparing for end-of-life transition. It would have given him grounds to argue you were already incapable of managing your own affairs. I felt dizzy. So if I'd signed, you'd have lost everything. Your house, your bank accounts, your independence. And because you signed willingly, it would have been nearly impossible to reverse. I closed my eyes. My son, my baby boy, had tried to steal my life. Rachel. Daniel's voice softened. I have to ask, do you have anything they want? Anything they don't know about? I looked out the window, at the houses we were passing, the trees, the ordinary world continuing like nothing had changed. Yes, I whispered. What? I turned to him. 3 years ago, my brother died. He never married. No kids. I was his only living relative. I remember, Daniel said. I'm sorry. I know you two were close. He left me everything. Daniel's eyes widened. Rachel, your brother owned half of that commercial real estate development downtown. The one they turned into those luxury condos. I nodded. Are you telling me he left me his share? The property management company handles everything. I get monthly income. I never wanted Marcus to know. Why not? Because I wanted him to make it on his own. I didn't want him to see me as a bank. Daniel exhaled slowly. How much are we talking? After taxes and fees? About $48,000 a month. He stared at me. Rachel, you're a millionaire. I looked down at my hands. I live in a small house. I drive a 15-year-old car. I shop at discount stores because that's who I am. I don't need a big life. I just wanted my son to love me for me. My voice cracked. Daniel reached over and squeezed my hand. He doesn't know. No one knows. Except the property management company, my accountant, and now you. Daniel leaned back in his seat, thinking, they must have found out somehow. How? Medical records? Bank statements? Maybe Lauren went through your mail. I thought back. 2 months ago, Lauren had offered to help me organize my paperwork. I'd said no. She pushed. I'd finally let her take a few bills to scan and file digitally. Oh my God, I whispered. She saw the deposit records. Daniel nodded. That's my guess. They saw the money. They don't know where it came from, but they know you have it, and they want it. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not sadness. Anger. What do I do? Daniel started the car. First, we protect your assets. I'm filing a notice with the county recorder's office today to flag any attempts to forge your signature or file fraudulent documents. Okay. Second, we set up a trust. Ironclad. With me as trustee. If anything happens to you, the money goes where you decide, not where Marcus thinks it should. And third, Daniel looked at me. Third, you decide how you want to handle this. You can walk away, cut them off quietly, or you can let them keep digging their own grave. I thought about Marcus's face at that table, how he couldn't even look at me. I thought about Lauren's fake smile. I thought about the years I'd spent shrinking, apologizing, accepting scraps of attention. I want them to know, I said quietly. Know what? That I'm not a fool. Daniel smiled. Then we're going to need a plan. Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel and I moved carefully. We transferred my assets into a revocable trust. We updated my will. We documented everything. Every text from Lauren, every missed call from Marcus, every piece of evidence that they tried to manipulate me. And then we waited, because I knew they'd come back. Predators always do. The call came on a Friday night. Mom. Marcus's voice was tight, nervous. Hi, baby. Listen, about the other day, I think there was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Okay, Lauren and I just want what's best for you. We're worried about you being alone, making big decisions by yourself. I'm not alone, Marcus. Who's helping you? I smiled. A friend. Silence. Mom, I don't know what that notary guy told you, but he's wrong. Those papers were for you. To protect you. From what? From, I don't know, scammers. People who prey on older folks. Older folks. Marcus, do you think I'm losing my mind? No, of course not. But you're 72, Mom. Mom. Things happen. We just want to make sure that you're taken care of." He paused. "That's not fair, isn't it?" Another silence. "Look," he said finally, "Lauren's planning a family dinner next month. Her parents, some friends. We'd really like you to come. Will there be more papers to sign?" "Mom, yes or no, Marcus?" "No. Jesus, it's just dinner." I closed my eyes. "Send me the details." "Okay, thanks, Mom." He hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, and felt the last piece of my heartbreak. But I didn't cry, because I was done crying. It was time to fight back. The dinner invitation came 3 days later. A formal card in the mail, cream-colored, embossed lettering. "You are cordially invited to celebrate Marcus and Lauren Morrison's 5th anniversary. Saturday, April 15th, 7 p.m. The Rosewood Estate. Black tie optional." I stared at it. 5th anniversary. I hadn't even known it was coming up. No one had mentioned it, and yet here I was invited. "Why?" I called Daniel. "They're up to something," he said immediately. "I know, but what?" "Public pressure, maybe. Surround you with their friends, their family, make you feel small, then hit you with another ask. So I shouldn't go." Daniel paused. "Actually, I think you should." "What?" "Rachel, they think you're weak. They think you'll fold. If you show up strong, confident, with someone by your side, it throws them off balance." "Who's going to go with me?" "I will." I blinked. "Daniel, you don't have to." "I want to." There was something in his voice I hadn't heard before. Something warm. "Okay," I said softly. "Thank you." The week before the dinner, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went shopping. Not at a thrift store. Not at a discount outlet. I went to a real boutique. The kind with soft lighting and elegant music and saleswomen who smile at you like you matter. I found a dress. Deep emerald green. Silk. Fitted but not tight. Elegant. It cost more than I'd ever spent on clothing in my life. I bought it anyway. I bought new shoes. A new handbag. I went to a salon and had my silver hair styled in soft curls. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked regal. Not like someone's burden. Like someone's mother. The woman I used to be. Saturday arrived. Daniel picked me up at 6:30. When I opened the door, he froze. "Rachel, too much?" I asked nervously. "No." He smiled. "You look beautiful." I felt my cheeks flush. We drove to the Rosewood Estate in comfortable silence. When we pulled up, I saw the entrance lit with string lights, white flowers everywhere, a valet taking keys. This wasn't just a family dinner. This was an event. Daniel handed his keys to the valet and offered me his arm. "Ready?" I took a breath. "Ready." Inside, the room was filled with people. 50, maybe more. Lauren's parents holding court near the bar. Marcus's colleagues from work. Faces I didn't recognize. And then I saw Marcus. He was standing near the fireplace, laughing at something someone said. Lauren was beside him, stunning in a white cocktail dress. She saw me first. Her smile faltered for just a second. Then it returned, wider than before. She whispered something to Marcus. He turned. His eyes landed on me. And for the first time in years I saw shock. Not indifference. Shock. Lauren approached quickly, heels clicking on the marble floor. "Mother, you came." Her eyes flicked to Daniel. "And you brought a guest." "This is Daniel Roth," I said calmly. "An old friend." "How lovely." Her smile was ice. "I'll make sure there's a seat for him." She walked away. Marcus approached next. "Hey, Mom." He kissed my cheek. "You look different." "Thank you." He looked at Daniel. "I'm Marcus." "Daniel." "Pleasure." They shook hands. The tension was instant. "Mom didn't mention she was bringing anyone," Marcus said. "I didn't think I needed permission," I replied. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Of course not. I just meant." "Marcus," someone called from across the room. He glanced back, then at me. "We'll talk later, okay?" He left. Daniel leaned close. "You okay?" "I'm fine." But my hands were shaking. Dinner was called. We were seated at a long table, 20 people, maybe more. I was placed near the end. Again, Daniel sat beside me. Lauren's father stood to give a toast. To Marcus and Lauren, 5 years of love, partnership, and success. And to many more. Everyone clinked glasses. I sipped my wine and said nothing. The meal was elaborate. Multiple courses. Expensive. Conversation flowed around me, but not to me, until Lauren stood. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," she said, her voice bright. "Family means everything to us." She looked directly at me, especially Marcus's mother, Rachel. "We're so grateful she could join us." Polite applause. I nodded. Lauren continued. "As some of you know, we've been working on a very special project, a family foundation, something to leave a legacy." My stomach tightened. "We've been encouraging Rachel to be a part of it, to contribute in a meaningful way." There it was, the ask. "After all," Lauren said, smiling sweetly, "what better way to be remembered than through generosity?" She sat down. Everyone clapped. I felt Daniel's hand on mine under the table. "Steady," he whispered. I looked at Lauren, at Marcus, at all these people who thought I was just a lonely old woman with money they could guilt me into giving, and I smiled. "That sounds wonderful, Lauren," I said clearly. Her eyes lit up. "But I've already made arrangements for my estate. The room went quiet. I've established a trust for scholarships for single mothers who are trying to finish school while raising children alone, because I was one and no one helped me. I looked at Marcus. I thought about leaving everything to my son, but I realized he doesn't need it. He's already successful. Marcus's face went white. So instead, I'm giving it to people who do. Lauren's mouth opened. No sound came out. I stood. Thank you for the lovely dinner. Daniel stood with me, and we walked out together. The call came at midnight. I was already in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the look on Marcus's face. My phone buzzed. Marcus. I let it ring. It buzzed again and again. On the fourth call, I answered. Hello. What the hell was that? His voice was sharp, angry, not the voice of my little boy, the voice of a stranger. What are you talking about, Marcus? You know exactly what I'm talking about. That speech, in front of everyone. I just told the truth. You humiliated us. I sat up. I humiliated you? How do you think I've felt for the past 2 years? Silence. Mom, do you know what it's like to be invisible in your own son's life? To be excluded from birthdays and holidays? To be seated at the end of the table like I'm some distant relative no one wants to talk to? That's not. Do you know what it's like to realize your child sees you as an ATM? That's not fair, isn't it? My voice broke. You tried to trick me into signing away my house, Marcus. We were trying to help you by taking everything I have. He didn't answer. I heard Lauren's voice in the background, sharp and insistent. Then Marcus again. Mom, you don't understand. We have expenses. The house, the cars, Lauren's student loans. I had expenses too, Marcus, and I handled them alone. That was different. Why? Because I'm supposed to sacrifice and you're not. Because we have a future to build. I felt something inside me snap, and I don't. Silence. Long and hollow. I didn't mean it like that, he said finally. Yes, you did. I heard him exhale. Look, we need to talk about this in person. Just the three of us. No, Mom. No, Marcus. I'm done. You're being unreasonable. Then I'm unreasonable. I hung up and I turned off my phone. For 3 days I heard nothing. I spent the time with Daniel. We went to lunch. We walked in the park. We talked about everything except Marcus. Felt like breathing again. On the 4th day, a letter arrived, hand-delivered by courier. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, formal. Dear Mrs. Morrison, we regret to inform you that due to ongoing family conflicts, we believe it is in everyone's best interest to establish boundaries. Effective immediately, we ask that you refrain from contacting Marcus or Lauren without prior written consent. Any future communication should go through our attorney. We hope you understand this decision is not made lightly, but out of a desire to protect our family's peace. Sincerely, Marcus and Lauren Morrison. I read it 3 times. Then I call Daniel. He came over immediately. When he read the letter, his face went hard. They're trying to isolate you. Why? Because you're not cooperating. So now they're punishing you. I sank into my chair. I've lost him. No. Daniel knelt beside me. He lost you. I looked at him. What do I do now? He thought for a moment. You fight back, but not with anger. With the truth. How? There's one more thing they don't know. What? You still have leverage, and I think it's time to use it. Daniel made a call. 2 hours later, a woman named Sandra Chun knocked on my door. She was a private investigator, mid-40s, sharp eyes, all business. Mrs. Morrison, she said, Daniel tells me you need help. I don't know what I need, I admitted. You need the truth. She sat down and opened her laptop. I did some preliminary research based on what Daniel told me. Your son and daughter-in-law are in serious financial trouble. I blinked. What? She turned the screen toward me. 3 months ago, Lauren's boutique filed for bankruptcy. She owed over $200,000 to creditors. My heart sank. Marcus co-signed the loans. Oh no, it gets worse. They refinanced their house twice. They're underwater, behind on payments. I stared at the numbers on the screen. How did I not know? Because they hid it, and they were counting on your money to bail them out. I felt sick, but why not just ask me? Sandra looked at me gently. Because people like them don't ask, they take. She closed the laptop. Mrs. Morrison, I can dig deeper, find out exactly what they've been doing, but I need your permission. I thought about the little boy who saved his allowance to buy me a bracelet, and I thought about the man who sent me a legal letter telling me to stay away. Do it. Sandra worked fast. Within a week, she had everything. Bank statements, credit card records, text messages between Marcus and Lauren planning how to handle me. One text made my blood run cold. Lauren, she's being difficult. We need to push harder. Marcus, I know. I'll make her feel guilty. She can't resist that. I read it over and over. Daniel put his hand on my shoulder. I'm sorry, Rachel. I folded the paper carefully. Don't be. What do you want to do? I looked at him. I want them to face the truth publicly. How? I thought for a moment. Then I remembered. Lauren's hosting a charity gala next month for her boutique recovery fund. She invited me. Daniel raised an eyebrow. She's still asking for money? Apparently. He smiled slowly. Then that's where we do it. The gala was held at the Grand Marquis Hotel, a ballroom filled with chandeliers, silk drapes, and 200 people who paid $500 a plate to support Lauren's vision, a fundraiser to relaunch her failed boutique as a community fashion hub. I arrived alone. Daniel offered to come, but I told him no. This was something I needed to do by myself. I wore the emerald dress again. This time I wore my mother's pearls, the ones she gave me before she died, telling me, "Wear these when you need to remember who you are." I hadn't worn them in 20 years. Tonight I needed them. I checked in at the front table. The volunteer looked confused. "Rachel Morrison?" "Yes." She scrolled through her list, frowned. "I'm sorry, I don't see your name." My stomach dropped. There must be a mistake. My daughter-in-law invited me. Let me check with the event coordinator. She disappeared. 5 minutes later, Lauren appeared. She was wearing a gold gown, hair in a perfect updo, smile like glass. "Mother, what a surprise. You invited me." "Did I?" She tilted her head. "I'm sorry, things have been so hectic. I must have forgotten to add you to the list." She didn't forget. "Well, I'm here now." Lauren's smile tightened. "Unfortunately, we're at capacity. Fire code, you know. But thank you so much for thinking of us." She started to turn away. "I'll make a donation," I said. She stopped. "Pardon? A donation? Isn't that what this is for?" Her eyes gleamed. "Of course. How generous. Let me get you a pledge card." "No need." I reached into my purse and pulled out an envelope. Inside was a check. I'd written it that morning. $50,000. Lauren's eyes went wide. "Mother, this is incredibly generous." "I know." She looked at the check again, then at me. "I'll make sure you have a seat. Front table." "Thank you." She walked away, clutching the check like a lifeline. I followed her into the ballroom. The room was stunning. Round tables draped in white, centerpieces of roses and candles, a stage at the front with a podium and microphone. Lauren directed me to a table near the stage. Marcus was already there. He looked up when I sat down. "Mom, I didn't know you were coming. Lauren invited me." He glanced at Lauren, who was across the room talking to sponsors. "Right." We sat in silence. The tension was suffocating. Finally, Marcus spoke. "You didn't have to give money." "I wanted to." He looked at me confused. "Why?" "Because I'm your mother, and I love you, even when you don't deserve it." His face crumpled for just a second. Then he looked away. Dinner was served. Speeches began. Lauren took the stage, radiant and confident. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Your support means the world to me and to this community." Applause. 5 years ago, I had a dream to create a space where women could feel beautiful, confident, and empowered. I opened my boutique with love and hope. She paused. "But dreams don't always go as planned. I faced challenges, setbacks, moments when I wanted to give up." Her voice wavered. "But I didn't, because I believe in second chances." More applause. "And tonight, thanks to your generosity, we're one step closer to making that dream a reality again." She smiled. "I also want to thank someone very special. My mother-in-law, Rachel Morrison." The spotlight swung to me. I froze. Rachel has been so supportive. She made a very generous donation tonight, $50,000. Gasps. Applause. I felt everyone's eyes on me. Lauren continued. "She's a reminder that family shows up, even when it's hard." She looked directly at me, and I saw it. The trap. She just publicly tied me to her fundraiser. Now, if I ever said anything bad about her, I'd look like a hypocrite. Clever. The applause faded. Lauren started to step away from the microphone, and then I stood. The room went silent. "May I say a few words?" I asked. Lauren's smile froze. "Oh, Mother, that's not necess. Please, I insist." I walked to the stage. Lauren had no choice but to hand me the microphone. I stood in front of 200 people, and I took a breath. "Thank you, Lauren, for those kind words." My voice was steady. "I did make a donation tonight, $50,000, but I want to be clear about why." I looked at Marcus. "I gave that money because I wanted my son to see something." I turned to the crowd. 3 months ago, my son and his wife tried to trick me into signing over my house. They presented me with legal documents disguised as estate planning, but what they really were was a transfer of ownership. If I'd signed, I would have lost everything. Murmurs rippled through the room. Lauren's face went white. "I didn't sign because a friend warned me, and when I asked my son why he'd do such a thing, do you know what he said?" Silence. "He said they had expenses." I looked at Marcus again. "I understand expenses. I raised you alone, Marcus. I worked 3 jobs. I went without so you could have, and I never once asked you for anything in return." My voice cracked. "But the moment you thought I had something you wanted, I stopped being your mother. I became a resource." Tears streamed down my face. So tonight I gave you $50,000, not because I owe you, but because I want you to know something. I looked directly at him. I would have given you everything. All you had to do was ask, with love, with respect, but you didn't. You tried to take it. I set the microphone down, and I walked off the stage. The room was silent. I walked past Marcus. He was crying. I walked past Lauren. She looked like she'd been slapped, and I walked out of that ballroom with my head held high. I didn't hear from Marcus for 2 weeks. I spent that time with Daniel. We took day trips, visited museums, had long dinners where we talked about everything except my son. Daniel never pushed. He just stayed, and slowly I started to feel like myself again. On a Tuesday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I opened it. Marcus stood there alone. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, hands shoved in his pockets. "Hi, Mom." I didn't move. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked into the living room and stood there awkwardly, like he didn't know where to sit. "Sit wherever you want," I said. He sat on the couch. I sat across from him. We stared at each other. Finally, he spoke. "I'm sorry." I said nothing. "I'm so sorry, Mom, for everything. For the papers. For the way we treated you. For forgetting who you are." His voice broke. I don't know what happened to me. I got so caught up in trying to have the life I thought I deserved that I forgot about the person who gave me everything. He wiped his eyes. "Lauren and I are separating." I blinked. "What?" After the gala, she blamed me for everything. Said I ruined her reputation. That I was weak for not controlling you. He laughed bitterly. "Controlling you? Like you're some kind of problem to manage." He looked at me. I told her she was wrong. That you were the strongest person I've ever known. And she laughed at me. Tears ran down his cheeks, so I left. I didn't know what to say. "I filed for divorce yesterday." I exhaled slowly. "Marcus, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I broke something that might never be fixed, but I need you to know. I remember." "Remember what?" "The bracelet. The one I bought you when I was 7. You wore it until it broke." I felt my throat tighten. "I remember the way you used to make pancakes on Sunday mornings, even when we didn't have much food." "Marcus, I remember the night I had pneumonia, and you stayed up with me for 3 days because we couldn't afford the hospital." He was sobbing now. "I remember all of it, Mom, and I'm so ashamed that I forgot." I stood and walked over to him. I sat beside him, and I held my son while he cried. We talked for hours. He told me everything. The debt, the pressure, the way Lauren had convinced him that I was holding him back. "She made it sound like you were the problem," he said. "Like if we just had access to your money, everything would be okay. And you believed her." He nodded. "I'm so sorry." I took his hand. "Marcus, I'm not going to pretend this doesn't hurt. It does. You broke my heart. I know, but I also know that people make mistakes. And if you're willing to do the work, real work, to rebuild this, then I'm willing to try." He looked at me, eyes red and swollen. "Really? Really? But on one condition." "Anything. You go to therapy, and you figure out who you are. Not who Lauren wanted you to be. Not who you think you should be, but who you actually are." He nodded. "I will. I promise. And you respect my boundaries. If I say no, it means no. I will. And you never, ever lie to me again." "I won't." I pulled him into a hug. "I love you, baby. I always have. But I won't let you hurt me like that again. I understand." We sat there holding each other, and for the first time in years, I felt like I had my son back. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Marcus moved into a small apartment across town. He started therapy. He got a new job, something smaller, less flashy, but more meaningful. And slowly we rebuilt. He came over for dinner once a week. We talked, really talked. He apologized more times than I could count, and little by little, I forgave him. As for Lauren, the boutique never reopened. The fundraiser money was returned to the donors after an investigation revealed financial mismanagement. She moved to another state. I never heard from her again. One evening, Marcus and I were sitting on my porch watching the sunset. "Mom, yeah, what are you going to do with the money? The trust you set up?" I smiled. "I'm funding scholarships for single mothers, just like I said." He nodded. "That's good. And I'm keeping enough to live comfortably. Maybe travel a little." "You should. Daniel and I are talking about taking a trip to Italy." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Daniel, huh?" I laughed. "Don't start. I like him. He's good for you." "He is." We sat in comfortable silence. Then Marcus spoke again. "I'm proud of you, Mom." I looked at him. "For what?" "For not letting me destroy you." I reached over and squeezed his hand. "You couldn't, because I'm tougher than you think." He smiled. "Yeah, you are." A year later, my life looked completely different. I sold my old house, the one filled with memories both beautiful and painful, and bought a cozy cottage near the coast. 2 bedrooms, a garden, a porch with a view of the ocean. It was perfect. Daniel helped me move in. We spent a week painting walls, arranging furniture, planting flowers. And on the last day, as we sat on the porch watching the waves, he turned to me. "Rachel, would you ever consider, I don't know, not being alone anymore. I looked at him. What are you asking, Daniel? He smiled nervously. I'm asking if you'd let an old fool take you to dinner, officially, as more than a friend. I felt my heart flutter. I thought you'd never ask. He laughed, and we sat there, hand in hand, as the sun set over the water. The scholarship fund launched 6 months later. The Rachel Morrison Foundation for Single Mothers. We awarded 10 scholarships the first year. I met every single recipient. Their stories broke my heart and filled it at the same time. Women who were working 2 jobs while going to school. Women who were escaping abuse. Women who just needed someone to believe in them. I saw myself in every one of them, and I made sure they knew they were not alone. Marcus came to the ceremony. He helped set up chairs, handed out programs, took photos. Afterward, he hugged me. You did it, Mom. We did it. He smiled. For the first time in years, it reached his eyes. I still think about the woman I was a year ago. Invisible, ignored, shrinking. And I think about the woman I am now. Strong, seen, whole. It wasn't easy. There were days I wanted to give up. Days I cried myself to sleep. Days I wondered if I'd ever feel like myself again. But I kept going because I realized something important. I didn't need my son to validate me. I didn't need anyone to validate me. I am enough, just as I am. I started painting again. Something I loved as a young woman but gave up when life got hard. I set up an easel in my garden and painted the ocean, the flowers, the sky. I wasn't very good, but it didn't matter. It made me happy, and that was enough. Daniel and I took that trip to Italy. We wandered through Rome, Florence, Venice. We ate pasta and drank wine and laughed like teenagers. One night, standing on a bridge overlooking the Grand Canal, he kissed me. It was soft, gentle, perfect. I'm glad I found you again, he whispered. Me too. I know some of you watching might be going through something similar. Maybe you're being overlooked, underestimated, taken for granted. Maybe you're wondering if you'll ever feel valued again. Let me tell you something. You are valuable right now, just as you are. You don't need anyone's permission to take up space. You don't need anyone's approval to live your life. And you certainly don't need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. I spent years doing that, and it almost destroyed me. But I fought back, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with boundaries, with truth, with dignity. And I won, not because I got revenge, but because I got myself back. So wherever you are right now, whether you're in a small town, a big city, a quiet home, or a loud one, know this. You are seen, you are heard, you matter, and your story isn't over yet. I'm sitting on my porch right now, watching the sun rise over the ocean. Daniel's inside making coffee. Marcus is coming for lunch later, and I'm at peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because I chose me, and that made all the difference. Thank you for walking with me through this story. If it resonated with you, leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Let's keep walking together, because none of us should have to walk alone.